Hi, my name's Stephen Hann and I'm running for Mayor. Today I want to talk about one of my first jobs. So when I was young, I graduated IT and I had pretty good grades. I had lots of A's. So I couldn't get any jobs in this state, South Australia, so I had to go to Canberra. So I went to Canberra and saw a whole bunch of government departments. I got offered jobs in pretty much all of them. And through that, I was able to pick which area I wanted to work in. And I chose fraud. So I chose fraud in Social Security. I thought the people were great. And I was pretty interested in saving money for the Australian community. So, and I would say my parents, especially my dad, wasn't keen on me being a public servant. He wanted me to be in private enterprise and have a real job. But that's okay. I thought, I'm going to go over there and save millions of dollars, and then I'll go overseas and be some famous IT person. Maybe Facebook. Anyway, so I went over there and I did IT. Now, the first thing, I walked into the department and I was in charge of the compensation project. So I was put in little starter, and when I say put in charge, I was responsible for the compensation project. And what that project was, if you had compensation for an injury or something, then that comes off your Social Security payment. So I would data match all the compensation data from everyone against the Social Security database and report anyone who's had a compensation payment with people who have received Social Security. Okay, and there's a whole lot of stuff around that, identity and all that sort of checking to see if your name's different, all that sort of stuff, right? But basically produce a report. Now that project's funded for basically 2 staff, a IT person and an administrative person. Well, that's pretty easy, and I can do that in next to no time. So then I had all this spare time on my hands. So I'm like, well, what else can I do? So meanwhile, when I sort of joined the department, I was working in Woolworths before this, where you've got to work the whole time. Never had a day off in Woolworths, because if you had a day off in Woolworths, they were probably going to get rid of you. That was 5 years working in Woolworths, never had a day off. Always have to be there on time, finish on time or late, had to be there early. That was what I was used to. When I joined the public service, people are sitting there playing solitaire. And I was like, what's going on here? And then people were like clocking back, rocking up overtime, working Saturdays and Sundays, while not working during the normal hours and having days off, and I'm going to say like filling in their flex sheets in a creative manner, I'm going to say. Anyway, so I was like, well, I'm going to get promoted really fast because I'm really dedicated and really smart, not having tags on myself. Because when I joined that area, it was like, I listened to the people who'd been there before and they all got promoted within 4 or 5 months. And I'm like, whoa, I can get promoted in 4 or 5 months because I'm really smart. This is what I thought. So I work my ass off and I take on other projects. So I'm like, well, I'm now doing the work of 3 people, so I should get promoted really, really fast. 18 months later, I'm still doing more and more projects and I'm still there at that level. Anyway, the jobs get advertised at the next level up. And I apply. And I think there was 250 people applied. 250 for, I think, 6 jobs. So I apply and I come in the room. So, I've got my resume. I've got really good references because I work hard. All right. I never clocked up any overtime. Never did anything with those. I didn't do any creative flex sheet time alterations. Anyway, I worked hard, had really good references, really good ratings, applied for the job. I come in the room and they take a photo of me. I'm like, this isn't good. Because if you didn't take a photo of me, you know who I am because I work with you every day. It's a panel of 3 people. So, and basically 2 of them I knew because I work with them and the other one was independent. So, and I would say when I work with them, it's a big area and they weren't from my section, they were from other sections. Anyway. So when it comes to the promotion, I didn't get it. I didn't get a promotion. And I was crushed. I was like, oh, well. And the other people who were doing the creative flex time things, clocking up all the overtime, they did. And I was like, well, time for me to move on. Time for me to find a job in another area. So I went to the boss, the big boss. And anyway, he's married to the head of the ACT government. So his name was Ian Carnell. So I rock into his office in the morning because I'm pretty much first to work. I say, I'd like to move. I said, I didn't get a promotion. I've been here 18 months. I thought it'd be 6 months. I've worked my ass off. I've taken on so many projects, and I didn't get promotion. So it's like the next round won't be for another year. I expected to get a promotion. I was the top graduate. I want to get promoted. Anyway, so I said, just move me to one of the other areas in the department, because there's hundreds of positions for IT people. The department's crying out for IT people. This is back, 20 plus years ago. 30 years ago, because I'm that old. So anyway, I say to him, look, I work my butt off. I've never I've never had any flex days. I do this, and then everyone else is doing this. Lesson to be learnt there. So he said, well, I listen to you, and I'll see what I can do, because I just thought he'd just transfer me to another area, and then I'll just work my ass off again and get promoted. Anyway, next day I go to the office nice and early. My boss calls me in. So I get called in the office. I'm like, well, this is it. I'm getting removed, right? And it's not like I didn't like the people I did. I had lots of friends there, and it was a good area to work. I just wanted to get promoted. I was like, I want to be the youngest director. That's what I wanted to be. The youngest. I wanted to work the hardest and get promoted the quickest than there's ever been. That's what I wanted. And my boss called me in. I got handed. He goes, you shat in your nest. I was like, he goes, you do that and like everyone will hate you. And anyway, so after that, all flex sheets, everyone's timesheets were kept in a central repository. So when you walked in, you had to fill them in. They stopped everyone playing computer games. And I would say I probably wasn't that popular by everyone who didn't work. Everyone who didn't work. Because the people who worked, they were like on board because they were pissed off with the people who didn't work, right? So it's like, well, whatever. Anyway, they moved me to another area called data matching. So data matching was on a big computer system. So they had the brightest sort of people there, so to speak. Anyway, so they moved me there, which is okay. Like different areas, same branch and all that. But I wanted to get promoted. So I was like, well, okay, so you're annoyed with me and some other people are annoyed with me. They cut all overtime. Anyway, so I applied for a couple of jobs outside, literally in the next 2 weeks. So I applied for two jobs and I won both of them within 2 weeks. So I moved, so that was me leaving the fraud area. But I say I learned a lot, and the people there were quite, well, when I say quite bright, very bright, creative, lots of energy, and it was a good area to work, but I want to get promoted fast. So that's me working in fraud. So if I'm going to take anything out of that, I do not take sit on your ass playing computer games. If you want to do that, that's on your time. And I think you should work hard, and you should be passionate about your work, and you should be able to stand up for yourself and say, hey, look, I worked really hard. Joe Bloggs over here, and I'm not saying pick on Joe Bloggs, because I didn't name any names. You know, it's like you gave Joe Bloggs a job, and you know how lazy he is, and he may interview well, but it's like no one in my area got promoted. I'm going to say that. So no one in my area got promoted, and there was lots of bright people there, but no one in my area got promoted. So people in my branch got promoted, but not in my area where the data matching stuff that we were doing got promoted. So anyway, most of them left. So anyway, that's me working in fraud. And that was my first job in fraud. So I took on heaps and heaps of projects, worked hard, and I was like, okay, on to the next job. In summary, my first job, very happy to be there, very happy to get it, worked hard, and I met lots of really, really good people, and that set me on my first steps to what will later happen and with my career, and I'll talk about that in later videos. If you're interested, you can watch them. Anyway, I'm running for mayor, and that same passion, working hard and basically being accountable for the work I do still sits with me today. So 30 odd years on, I'm still accountable, and I have been my entire life. So my parents drilled that into me. In fact, they still drill it into me. that I've got to work harder, be smarter. That's the way it is. Like you kind of feel like you'll never be good enough, but you just got to keep working. But anyway, I'm Stephen Hann, running for mayor. I appreciate your vote. Thanks for watching.